What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage coming to you live with my friend, Josh Mettle. What's up, brother?
Great to be here, brother. How are you today?
I am doing really well, man. Business is good, personal is good, and it is a little rainy outside, but I'm with you, dude, so it's awesome.
I got to the gym for the first time in 2 months today, so I'm feeling pretty pumped. So this better shred. We better rock this.
Yeah, let's do it, brother. So to me, the topic that I wanted to have with you was you're a student of success. You study people. You're one of those guys that listens to someone very carefully. You take notes very carefully, and you put those things into action. And we did a massive event last week with SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA, where we had 11 baller mortgage professionals sharing some of their best scripts. And so two things I want to get from you is, what were the big takeaways that you had? And then I really want you to take, like, hey, if you were doing a meeting with your team, what are you assigning them? What leadership are you bringing to the people that you lead, so they don't just watch SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA and go, that was fun, that was good, I enjoyed it. They got value, they changed some behaviors, and they improved their success. So that's the conversation I want to have.
Well, let's maybe start with that. So I'll just tell you what we did post SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA in terms of, getting the team back re-engaged around how to put this thing into action. So first of all, I was involved. Thanks for having me for the first piece of it. I sent that out as soon as it was up on YouTube to the team. And then I just scheduled a Zoom meeting around it, right? Because we're all working from our home offices. And I just said, hey, I contributed to this. Dave was there, Renee was there, some of the top producers in the country were there. I'd like everybody to watch it between now and next Tuesday. And Tuesday at noon, I'm gonna come with a couple of nuggets that I pulled out that really connected, to my heart, and things that I'm either already doing and have a new slant on, or something brand new. And then I'm going to go round robin. And I'd like everybody on the team to share one or two things that were just, crush it strategies. So I think the first thing is, just like you said, how do you take this piece of content, and if you listen to it while you're, on a run or a hike or something, then how do you integrate it into your business plan? So the first thing that I would do is create a group, whether that's your branch, your team, a couple of loan officer bros, whatever. Everybody listen to it, everybody take notes, and then schedule a time where you have a mastermind around it. Because I could listen to the same interview, Dave, but you may pull something totally different out of what Ryan Grant said that I didn't hear it. At that moment when Ryan was saying that, I was worried about a car turning left in front of me and it went over my head. So collaboration around it and scheduling a time to unpack your notes is maybe my first takeaway that I'd recommend if somebody has listened to it but hasn't really implemented anything from it. That'd be a good takeaway to start with.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And one of the things we did to help you guys was we transcribed it. So when you watch it in YouTube, in the show notes, there's a link to the transcription, because sometimes hearing and reading help things connect more.
Yeah.
And then we also took some time ourselves to journal, like, what were the notes, what were the takeaways. So from every single speaker, it's got key scripts, key takeaways. It's got Renee Rodriguez's takeaways, which were pure gold. So we put that available to you. I'll put a link down below. We're calling it the SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA Sales Training Handbook. And I don't know, you tell me, but I think like every leader and team should have their version of that. Because like I did something really comprehensive because I wanted to make sure every speaker was covered. But like if I was a branch manager or I was a loan officer, that thing's like 24 pages. I would have like my one-page version of it that applies to me. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there was so much great leadership from all those leaders, and everybody has a little bit different style. Although there's definitely common threads, what I encouraged our loan officers to do was, look, listen to everybody one time through, and somebody's going to resonate with you. Somebody's style at which they communicate to clients is going to be, just exactly the way you identify yourself. And that's the person you want to go back and give a second listen to. Maybe it's two people, and you really take notes on their scripting, because there's so much content there. You really need to, you couldn't do everything that everybody said, But there's a couple of people you really identify, and those are the people that you want to re-listen to those interviews and write them down and make sure that you're pulling some nuggets out of.
Yeah, I love that. And guys, while we created this comprehensive note, I don't want you to cut and paste it. I don't want our notes to be your notes. I made that so that you could take that and you could just be more effective with your notes. And then you could also go back and reference like, hey, here's my notes. What did I miss? So guys, it's so important that you listen yourself, you write yourself, and then you start practicing yourself. So let's go into what were some of the things that, you know, resonated most with you, and what were some of the things that resonated most with people on your team?
Well, first, you had just mentioned Renee's name a few minutes ago, and his wrap up that he did at the end and how he kind of broke all that down. And the thing that I left with being so reminded of our training when we did Amplify, and we learned so many things in that Amplify training, but one of the things that he said has really stuck with me, and it's one of those things that I look at like a mental hamster wheel. I just keep playing with it in my head and seeing how I can do it a little bit differently. And that's his framework of thinking around framing something. I was just on another training with him the other day, and he says, you know, tell me 3 words that you think of when I say the word car salesman. And you go like, oh, like, you know, shyster, right? And so a lot of times if you talk to somebody and say, okay, tell me the first 3 words that come to your mind when you hear mortgage broker, it might be similar. So when we went through SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA and I was listening to people's scripts, what I was thinking in my head was, how are people framing themselves in their market? How are they framing themselves as experts, as professionals, as giving advice, not selling price? And I'm looking everything at a frame. And for people who aren't familiar with the way Renee explains that, and jump in, Dave, because you've been to the training at least once, and you've been with Renee more than me.
3 times.
3 times, okay. So what Renee talks about is you have the frame, you have the subject, that's the thing you actually want to talk about, and then you have the tie down. And the tie down is the thing that you do to get some person to move into action. The frame, for example, let's use a tangible example. I just had a client talk to me and say, hey, look, I'm really worried about not locking in our interest rate up front. And I'd like the ability to do that. And so I had to get over that hurdle. The subject is they want to lock their interest rate. The reality is I can't lock their interest rate on a refinance until they go through preliminary underwriting, and I have a preliminary underwriting approval. So I had to reframe the way that they looked at that subject. All they saw was risk. So the way that I reframed that is I said, Dave, do you know a little bit about what the Federal Reserve has been doing and their monetary stimulus that they've been doing, quantitative easing, and how they're going about stimulating the economy? What do you know about that? And the guy goes, I know a little bit about it. What I basically heard Powell say was there was an unlimited amount of resources that they could throw at stimulus, but I don't really know what that means. And I go, exactly. Here's what happens every time the economy goes into a recession. Every time. They reduce interest rates to make the products, the goods, and the services that we buy more affordable. This is such a big deal. It's such a deflationary event, this whole coronavirus COVID-19 thing, that Chairman Powell came out and said, we have an unlimited amount of resources. What that means is they will buy interest rates down as low and as long as they need for this economy to come back full speed. Now, I know that the stock market's come back pretty good, not so great over the last couple of days, but it's had a nice rebound. But when you walk around, you know, when you drive through your city or walk around, how do you think the economy's doing right now? He's like, not good. It's like graveyard in my city. And I'm like, right. Well, until those restaurants are 100% full, until those businesses are 100% full, the Fed's going to be nothing but using their unlimited resources to buy down interest rates. So I would really caution you about locking your interest rate too soon, because I think your greater risk is that you lock too soon and interest rates go down and you've already locked. That's a greater risk than we float you, we watch the market, you let me advise you on the best time to lock. So the reason that I bring that to your attention is the next step that we need you to do, tie down. The purpose for me sharing this with you is to get you into a place to lock your loan. I need you to sign the disclosures, and that sets the wheel in motion so that we can get you in a place and I can watch your loan for the most opportune time to lock. Are you comfortable with taking that next step? Yes.
Yes.
So it comes to, so when I was listening to that, that was just an example. We got off, I'm sorry, I got on a tangent there, but there's a subject, what's your rate? I need to lock today.
But by the way, it's also a problem.
A problem.
You know, so problem, solution, success, going back to story brand and the whole framework that we learned from Dr. J.J. Peterson.
Yep. And Donald Miller, absolutely. And so I just had to reframe that issue, that problem, that subject in a way that made him comfortable to move forward. Now, by the way, I don't believe that's a lie at all. I'm refinancing 3 of my commercial apartment buildings right now. I locked one and I'm floating the other 2 because I think rates are going lower. And I said, get me all the way to the closing table and then I'll tell you when I want to lock. I'm not ready. I'm going to wait till the 10-year treasury gets down below 50 basis points. So anyways, my point with that is I was listening to this whole presentation, I was going, how are they framing scripting, getting over whatever challenges they have in their industry? Because Ryan Grant's framework is very different than Jeremy Forcier's, but they're both brilliant. So that was my number one takeaway from Renee. And I'll let you kick in.
Yeah, well, I one of my top takeaways was how hard it was for everybody to do a script, and they all went into strategy. And to your point, the strategy, whether they knew it or not, was frame, message, tie down. And I've interviewed so many top producers. Different people do it with better technical clarity. And I thought how Dan Keller did his scripting. Again, he's been through Renee's program multiple times. So he is a trained ninja at frame, message, tie down. But it was just interesting how everybody had a strategy that drove the scripting. Everybody talked about how they needed to become, like it was how they felt, you know, how committed they were to helping people. It was kind of like, to give a great script on the outside, it's got to come from the inside. And so I mean, that was a takeaway. And then the whole Donald Miller piece. I love Renee's framework, but I think equally important in the script I keep playing in my head is, what's the problem that we're solving? What is the solution, the message? And then, the success. In Donald Miller, they call it the success or the result. Renee calls it the tie down. It's just that 3-pronged framework. Those were massive takeaways. And then also one last takeaway was just how words matter. The simple word like calling it a client questionnaire, not using the word pre-approval, and just picking certain words that have a lot of strategic value, both negatively and positively. Like, hey, fill out the application. That's not a warm and fuzzy thing to do. Hey, fill out the easy client questionnaire. Just words matter was another big takeaway.
Yeah, there's so much genius on the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel and the people being interviewed there. And in every interview, there's something that catches your ear that you're like, wow, that sounded really good rolling off her tongue. Like she nailed the way that sounds. That sounds better than me. Write those things down, like have a sticky pad or whatever your notepad is next to your phone. So it's literally next to your phone charger. And the next time you get on that script and you're having that call, you're like, I'm going to use that move. It's just like, look, if you're in jujitsu and you get your ass kicked by a black belt or whoever, and they used a cool move, you want to learn that move and you want to use that on the next guy. This is just linguistic jujitsu. We're just showing you a more efficient way to frame. I was saying subject, but it's not subject. It's frame. Message. Thank you.
Tie down.
Frame, message, tie down, and it's Jeremy is like the ninja master of ninja masters at this, right? Ryan Grant's also exceptional at this. You can tell that they have curated their words, their sayings, how they get somebody to take a specific action. That is no different than jujitsu. It's no different. It's just that they're doing it with words, and a black belt in jujitsu is learning how the arm bar works and how when somebody gets overextended to get him into that position, and then they practice that 100 times. If you're not writing down the words that you want to use next to your phone where it gets charged, and then you use it on the next phone call, how are you going to get good at it? You got to be that technical.
Yeah, I totally agree. Another highlight for me, and there were a lot. Guys, if you're watching this live or the recording, if you're getting value from what Josh and I are doing right now, what was your number one takeaway? What was a big takeaway? Put that in comments down below. But I loved, it was the first time she's been on SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA, Amber Kovark. I thought her 3 promises script was amazing. I thought the diligence that she went through and the detail in which she went through to lock a rate was amazing. What were some of your favorite, like when you think of people that you listen to, that you're like, I got to really re-listen to that, and I've got to really fine-tune that. What else moved the needle for you?
Well, I love the spirit and the heart that Jay came into the conversation with, and I thought he was a beautiful choice to open that up. And just reading the notes there, he says, I go into every meeting and every conversation with the intentionality that I care about this person and my focus is on serving them. He also talked about, he'd made some decision in his life to be doing exactly what he's doing while he's doing it. In other words, if he's with his kids, you turn the phone off, you're with your kids. If you're with your wife, now that's hard to have that level of like discipline and presence. But the way he said that, when he talked about, and I bring that same level of discipline when I go into a client meeting, because I'm trying to think, where is my opportunity to serve this person? Where do they need me that they don't know they need me? Where can I add value? And if you're not all in, you're going to miss those opportunities. So I really loved his message. That connects with me a lot. My conversation was all about, clients come in assuming they know what they want. But the reality is 99% of the time they don't know what they want. You have to ask the right questions to unearth the challenges that they're going through. And then you can step forward as an advisor and say, I hear what you're saying. May I propose another solution? Can I have your permission? Yes. So if I'm not present, like Jay said, and I don't come in with a servant heart thinking the purpose of this meeting is not to get the deal, but it's to serve this person in a way that virtually nobody else is going to serve them. Because I'm going to give them that level of attention. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to ask the right questions. And then I'm going to propose a solution or a strategy that is vastly superior to what any other lender is going to do. So I really like Jay's because I think he and I have very similar where we come from a heart standpoint. Like we want to really help and impact families. So I thought his was huge.
So real quick before you go out, I want everybody to listen to this to realize that Jay Crowd did $180 million in production. Amazing. And I know there are loan officers that are doing a couple loans a month that aren't as present. They're rushing. They're not going as deep with their families. So to do that level of presence, that level of depth, thousands of total cost analysis, and that is where he's coming from. I just think there's so much to learn from that. And I see, too many loan officers at just radically lower production levels that just, I don't have time. It's like, how fast can I move this person in and out of the transaction? And you notice, like, I guarantee with Jay, he is rating himself after every meeting. How present was I? And I'll bet you he keeps a batting average, a mental batting average is how many times did I blow their mind? How many times did I get them to go, I never thought of it that way before? That's like the game he is playing. Like, you came to me not knowing this, and I am just judging my success by how many times I turn on a light bulb, how many times I create this educational wow in your head. And it was just so obvious, to your point. I mean, he was a great opening.
Great opening.
Because he, he started like, hey, I've got structured conversations that I have, but it starts with how I show up. So I'm glad that you called that out.
Well, and those of you who, speaking of, Jay's ability to do 180 million in production and still show up with that level of presence, what a lot of people might not know about Jay, and I used to be in the same coaching group as Jay, is he's still a phenomenal athlete. He used to be a college basketball player, so he still takes care of himself. He has a tremendous relationship with his wife. He has a tremendous relationship with his family and kids. And so he balances all of those things and does it in a really, really remarkable way. There was a book that I read recently called Man Up by Bedros Kilian. Have you seen that book, Dave? Dave, I hope you're coming back. This is going to be a really boring interview. Hey, buddy, I'm in back-to-back meetings until 5 o'clock. Is there any way you can call her? Question mark. He's back. He's back.
I'm back.
All right.
All right.
All right.
How, by the way, how far have you gone past Jay while I was taking a computer freeze break?
I thought the whole computer was frozen, so I went to clearing my 27 text messages.
All right. No, it was still going, bro. We'll edit it for those of you that are on Facebook Live, enjoy the comedy show.
Yeah.
My computer froze. So guys, another thing about Jay, guys, he's managing a large region. So he's doing a lot of personal production as a team. He's managing a branch and he's managing a large region. So guys, if he can be present, you can do it too. It's just a trained behavior. So what was another, and remember guys who are watching it on Facebook Live, you can let us know your favorite takeaway below from Script-a-Palooza or your favorite script. I mean, Jeremy's script on how he's getting a referral from all of his active clients in his database. I thought that was like the money script, like the easiest thing to adopt would be to like, you know what? I'm going to wait till my client says, thank you. And then I'm going to send, I don't know how many words it was, a 20, 30 word email and precisely ask for a lead. I thought like that was, guys, I mean, that was just every loan officer in America could have an extra 12 loans a year for that. And every baller loan officer that has a big pipe, we're talking dozens, could be an extra 20, 30 loans a year from that one script and that one strategy. And notice he uses the amplify sequence. Like right when the client says thank you, I'm sequencing with a very thoughtful message. I guarantee attending Amplify is what made the light bulb go on around that script.
It's also a Cialdini, Robert Cialdini technique of reciprocity. That his whole thing is to get people to respond in the way that you want them to. And one of his is the power of reciprocity, that when someone says thank you, if you say, oh shucks, it was nothing, I do that for every client, you just lost that edge, that strategic connection that you have with somebody when they said, man, Dave, I tell you what, it really meant a lot that you were able to get my closing to happen on time. If you say, oh, I close every client on time, Josh, no worries, man. You like just took all the air out of the room. It killed the connection. If you go, you know, well, I'll be honest, we help a lot of clients. Your loan wasn't the easiest, man. We had to work at that one, but it was nothing cooler than seeing you at the closing table and close on time. So truly our pleasure that we could get that done for you. Hey, let me ask you a favor. See the difference? You now have the permission. You stepped into their compliment and said how much it meant to you to be able to make that happen for the client. And can I ask you a favor? Oh, and Jeremy does it with the email script, but it's the same thing that Cialdini teaches. That sense of reciprocity is super powerful, and what you say at that moment does have a direct impact on the number of referrals that you're going to get from that client. Big time.
Yeah, and guys, it's just so important to train yourself. I can't remember who told me this, but when you go to a Chick-fil-A, they have trained their entire army of staff that when someone says thank you, you say it was my pleasure.
My pleasure.
You know, like guys, I want my push to the mortgage coach community. When someone says thank you and they are in process, you step into that, and it is the perfect time to elegantly, in a way that's authentic to you, personal to you, and strategic for you, that you turn that into an ask for referrals. So I hope the mortgage coach community gets that, and then I hope that family gets a total cost analysis, because not only will you improve the fact that you'll win that family, you'll improve the fact that you'll get more referrals from them. So let's close out here, bro. And what was another, like, if you were going to close this out, like, we just want to teach people to fish and hunt for themselves. So you kind of already told them the path to do that, but let's give everybody a Josh Mettle homework assignment. If you haven't watched SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA, clearly you need to watch it. We are editing each of those scripts into individual videos. So stay tuned in our YouTube channel. You'll be getting an email if you're on our email database that there'll be a special SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA resource page, and it will have every one of those individually laid out. So stay tuned for that. But what's the Josh Mettle homework assignment for everybody?
I'd say if you watched it, but you watched it in passing, you know, it's a 2-hour or 2.5-hour presentation or whatever it is. And so I would anticipate a lot of people watched it while they were multitasking. And so if you didn't actually get something tangible, by the way, that script is in my email signatures now, Dave. With that, everybody got that in their email signatures. That was the bomb. Easy.
Will you report back in a few weeks how many leads you get? And like, let's play that story forward, and let's document the results around it.
Yep. So here would be my action items. If you listened to it and you thought it was a lot of really smart people, but you didn't get any new jujitsu moves that you've started to practice on people, here would be the 3 steps. Step number 1, listen to it again in kind of a, you know, while you're running, while you're driving, that kind of a fashion. Find the 1 or 2 people that really resonate with you. Sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and take notes and re-listen to just their 10-minute segments of those two or three people that really resonated with you. And then put some of those things in action. What would be, even like, if you want to one-up this, the ninja move would be then get 2 or 3 or 10 of your other mortgage buddies together and do a Zoom meeting, and then mastermind around the moves you're actually going to use. What jujitsu moves did you pull out and are you going to use, are written down by your phone, and then mastermind around that? I mean, that's, I think, the level of value that is in this video that people should be taking out.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that, guys, is the ones that you decide to drill down on, read the transcript so that you're getting it from two different channels. You're hearing it and you're reading it and then you're writing it. You know, again, you covered that, and then mastermind. And then the other thing I would assign to everybody is I want you to schedule 2 weeks from now. I'm going to review, did I put things in action, and 30 days from now. It's like, put it in your calendar, put an invite that I'm going to review what did I get and what values am I getting? Because it really is, for Mortgage Coach, we only do it once a year. It was a lot of content. I want you to get a few ideas and I want you to get results. So if you follow everything Josh did, you put a few result review meetings in your calendar, I'll feel like I did my job. You know, I feel like we've taken it full circle. And please share any questions that you have in our group, any results that you get. I would love, like, nothing would make me happier, and I know Todd happier, is if like 2 weeks from now, 30 days from now, 60 days from now, you were reporting back the value you got, how you implemented it, and what results you got. So
one other thing there, Dave, almost everybody I think you've had in SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA has done previous interviews with you. So you can go to the actual Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, not YouTube, search for Mortgage Coach, go to the channel, then search inside the Mortgage Coach channel for Jeremy Forcier or whoever you want to, Ryan Grant. And then you could dig deeper and listen to 2 or 3 of their interviews and just become like a ninja on the style of whomever it was that you really connected with. So that's my last, that's my parting words.
Dude, that was, I love that. So guys, if you got value from the conversation Josh and I just had, give us a like, share it with your mortgage friend. But most importantly, do the work, listen, read, write, implement, unlearn, relearn new things that you did, and report it back to the Mortgage Coach community. Josh Mettle, dude, by the way, how many loans are you guys closing this month? Just so that people get how busy you are, and you still took time for this. What do you think you guys are going to do?
We've got a legitimate shot at serving 200 clients this month. We've got 343 in the pipeline, and we got a shot at 200, serving 200 clients in May. Should be a record for us.
Well, let's get another interview going in a couple of weeks, brother. And I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate all the love you bring into the Mortgage Coach community, man.
Ditto. My pleasure, brother. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Talk to you soon, bro.